first order of business will be the swearing in of Councillor Tetzel. If you want to come up to
I
the
have to
table.
stand in the center.
And,
I
I
got the
form over here. on the table.
You gotta dance,
I haven't even got my hair done.
you gotta speak, you're gonna have to
I didn't even-
dance.
Where am I going? Right here? Oh, hello.
Hello.
Okay. I, Kathy Tetzel, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear, affirm that I will duly, faithfully, and to the best of my knowledge, or skill and knowledge, execute the powers trusted, placed in me as counselor for the village of Fort Simpson. Oh, I'm swearing in front of you. That's it? Oh, thank you so much.
You're officially sworn.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Don't.
Yours is special, ours is not.
I'm an elder. I'm the elder. Thank you.
It's your agenda, your worship.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order, Cow 11/20/24. At 7:08. Okay, are there any agenda additions? Nope. Adoption of the agenda?
Consensus.
Yep, consensus. Any declarations of interest?
For the contracts one.
There may be, but when we get to them in camera, if there's any conflicts that are perceived, then they can be acknowledged at that time.
Okay, no delegations. And, yes, the reports and discussion matters, the 5-year capital plan.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship. You've all received a copy of the plan. Our plan lays out in a summary front page with supporting yearly amounts. What I will do is I'll run through each year and maybe we can hold until the end of the 5-year summaries. And if you have any questions, run then with those, okay? So I'm gonna jump to tab 2025, which is our current year that we're contemplating different activities. And I'll just run through each of the projects. We have an ongoing capital lease for breathing apparatus with fire department. There's this year and one more after into 2026, then that will be paid out. Then it'll probably be time to do another lease for the next set of breathing apparatus and just tend to turn over like fairly frequently or within a 10-year. The streetlights, this came directly through discussion with the mayor. Some discussion about streetlights in place that you know more better than I do, so.
So it's at this end of Antoine Drive. If you go down to the trailer park, every telephone pole has a street light on it. Down at this end, it's like every second or, right? And everybody's always complaining about that area. So now that it's dark, it's come up again. So we're something.
So what we will do is we will make an application through what's called Capital Assistance Program, which provides not big dollars, but some dollars that can cover that capital cost. We've done that in the past for streetlight projects, and So this would be our pathway forward there.
Can I ask a question then?
Certainly.
Because I don't see it in here. A guardrail going down the hill from onto the island on the left side or south side, where the hill is, where it's quite deep. If you were to slide off that, you would hurt yourself. Is it, I know that's not in here, but has it been considered?
We haven't discussed it in any detail. That's not to say it's certainly an important project. It's, it enhances safety.
Yes, it's a safety issue, actually.
And I see our ops manager making notes over there, so that'll flow forward. So we have a number in, we'll get to it,
Yeah, I just
road
wanted-
improvements, and that, you know,
That
we
would
may
be-
bump that up a bit if that is the way to
I've
go.
done, some elderly people that live on the hill sort of mentioned that they're a little concerned
Mhm.
of the safety issue going down and around it.
And it's quite steep now.
Okay. We are anticipating some sidewalk work to be done next year. One of the areas mentioned is a sidewalk along this street, where we have the building here, so we'll be looking at that, as well as, you know, it's probably not a bad idea going forward to have a number in for sidewalks every year, so probably starting in next year's plan, we can do that. New vehicle for Public Works, this would be to replace the existing vehicle that the foreman drives. And it's just life cycle replacement of the vehicles that are getting at a point where we do put a lot of maintenance on them, so we're looking at that. Public Works is requesting the replacement of 430 cat loader. The existing backhoe loader is on its last legs, Mr. Gast. So that is, that was part of last year's planned estimates for the different years going forward. So that's that. Road improvements, again, we'll consider the cost of the guardrail project, and what that may be, but I expect it's going to be more than 40.
Yeah.
So we can bump that. 175,000 is our estimate to do our next conversion of our, this year, or 2025 will be the public workshop to convert to a pellet boiler. And we may get more funding on this project from AEA, but we are at this point estimating conservatively on the 50,000 from AEA, because we know that that is an ongoing amount that they do provide, but there may in fact be more funding. Next is a landfill, 405,000. This is an ongoing project that's been sort of attacked piecemeal through the years because of many different things. But it is our hope this year that the compost pad that is part of the treating of the wastewater sludge will be constructed with a liner and be doing its thing. And it's Mr. Gatton. Go ahead, Mr.
Sure, I'll speak to that. So the pad is done, the berms are done. There was a lot of infilling to do because the ground was unlevel. It's basically complete except for digging the retention pond at the end. That's just a small retention pond, so any leachate that comes off hits the liner into the pond. We pump it back up to keep the biosolids moist. We didn't dig the pond for a reason. I want to dig the pond right before we put the liner in because it's all sand and it'll just cave. So we'll dig the pond, liner goes in. So really, I'm hoping July this summer to do the liner, and then we're basically in operation. So just start transferring the stuff over. One benefit we have is we have the old vac truck still available to us. So we can just suck the stuff up, move some chips over, spray the stuff on top, mix it, and just keep going. Because we want to get rid of all those storage cells. That was
Yes.
strictly a short-term, interim thing that's dragged out far too long. Hasn't really caused any problems, but Once it's in the compost pile and mixed with the chips, we should see less of an odor issue out there, you know. It does not smell good sometimes, depending on the way the wind's blowing.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna call you Mitch. I'm not calling you. Recreation, a new vehicle, again, an ongoing replacement strategy for that. I will say on the vehicles, we have a number estimated at 75. We are going to be investigating lease buybacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we just throw 75 in for a new vehicle and we play around with that. So we may end up spending 25, 40, something of that nature. But we better just keep plugging the value of a new vehicle in when we require a new
Just
vehicle.
for budgeting purposes.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one, the 168, is one you did not have on your report. So the one that we got added this weekend. It's been on in prior years. I think it just gets missed, I guess. So
Which one's that?
ski trail system and ski hill development.
Oh, great.
Okay, under Canor. So this is the work that we are putting in the budget to recognize what is left for funding from Canor, which is about 148,000. And part of the commitment is the village is to contribute 20. So that 168 is what we are anticipating the cost to be to complete. And completing is a roof on the structure up on the hill, on that flared roof, a tow rope and associated stuff, and a generator shack. So again, these are projects that Mitch has been working on, and now we have information to send to the people who are doing the tow rope in terms of elevations and slopes. So that should move forward quicker than it has in the past 2 years. So that's ongoing. Rec Center, 2 projects. There's definitely been a need identified to have an add-on extension for storage at the Rec Center. It's been an ask for a number of years, so we're looking at, where's the area that would be the proposal?
Far the gym towards Wampus,
Yes.
so at the backside where everybody, well, you know, a little
Where
grassed
sea
area,
cans used to be?
that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Where that
right at the far
door
end.
is, Mitch, where the door goes out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it'll be beside the door, or we might have to move some ductwork in there. We've got some ductwork there, so it depends if if there's an open walkway there, or if the building extends there, and then we have to extend the ductwork up to the roof of the new storage facility. But it's the most logical place for it. The gym has big doors to move everything in and out, and it just makes absolute sense to put it there, rather than, say, at the Zamboni room end, eh? Now you're dragging stuff through the building. It's just, we're always limited in real estate we can use. And unfortunately, that's probably one of the only places we can use that isn't designated parking area right now. So makes a lot of sense. Definitely needed.
And the next one is new flooring in the community hall, small hall. So that's being funded through gas tax.
So the flooring itself is in good shape. This is just to replace that area where they took the stage out, and around the back emergency exit doors, it's kind of tore up there. So it's more a patching job. The flooring is unfortunately not cheap. We tried to get it done this year, and Wesleyan just didn't have the installers available. They're going through a transition. So hopefully early in the new year, we can get that done.
Okay, next are 2 projects carried forward from 2024. There's some final work that's to be done at the cemetery, fencing and what have, so that's all other things being positive this coming year that will be completed, as well as a bit of library infrastructure upgrade.
That's
I
nice.
think that's mostly computers.
You've done a good job down there. Actually.
Fire department and protective services. These estimates have changed quite a bit from what was put in last year. The recognition by the fire chief that the area, the concrete areas outside the bay doors are very, very bad and need to be addressed. So, being a priority, we put it on the plan for 2025, and if all goes well, maybe it'll come in under 300, but we want to try and be a little heavy on that. So that's to be done this year. 75,000, that's, I spread that out over 2 years, 75 in each year, and you're going to have a petition from Open Sky next Monday night regarding moving out of the building they're presently in. And if that does in fact happen, the fire department have plans or ideas about moving their training room downstairs in that building, as well as incorporating 2 offices in, I'll call them main level, one for the fire chief, one for the animal control officer. So that's what those numbers will be. And structure protection, this is a carryover of an original estimate of 750 last year done. Spent about 300 last year, so we're carrying the full net amount forward. Mitch, if you want to touch on what you are hoping to accomplish with.
Well, it's gonna depend a lot on what council wants to do. Budgeted 450 doesn't mean we have to spend anything, okay? One of the things that seems to be high on the priority list is having some storage of potable water for wildfire use or even structural fire use up at Wild Rose, okay? So that's a big one right now. We've got a couple things we're looking at, whether it's involves tankage up past Ken Lambert's there on the cut line. Okay, we've already got a lease for that, and we can extend our lease down. I don't know how many of you have been up there, but there's an old road that goes down to the Liard River too. So if we extend our lease down that road allowance, we can then throw a pump in the river in an emergency, pump up to our big tanks and distribute from there. Whether it's 2 pipelines or just filling the trucks from there, at least we've got a source of water there and we're not running back to town. Eh? So that's one idea. There's probably a lot more that we can work into it. But like I say, this 450, it's still in the budget. Doesn't need to be spent, but it's going to be what the community wants. How much money do they want to spend up there for what type of protection? But that's really the majority of it. A little bit of it, probably some more roof sprinklers for residential homes. That's a very small cost for those. But anything we do at Wild Rose is going to cost some serious money. There's no question about that.
Thank you. Finally, in water distribution infrastructure, you'll see this 200 in each of the 5 years. It's just a ongoing investment in our distribution mains, any other associated infrastructure with respect to water and wastewater. So that will be ongoing. Some years that gets spent more than 2, and this year, or this current year is definitely not to that extent. So 2025, total capital project estimates is 2.681 million. And that will be funded by our community public infrastructure capital money, 1,129,000, $1 million from our gas tax, 304 from our ISIP fundings, 148 from Canalorm, and 100,000 from the CAP program and Arctic Energy. So that provides our funding for those capital projects. And at the end of the year, all things being equal, we'll still have some money moving forward. So, 2026, after 2026, the activities are pretty light, so we'll get through those years quicker. 2026, a dump truck is envisioned for the Public Works Department. The dump trucks we have are getting older, and so it's just a ongoing replacement of assets to help us better service the community. The second year of a pellet boiler installation will be planned for the wastewater plant in 2026. And again, the funding, as we talked about earlier. Recreation department, some rubber matting. This is that amount of rubber matting that goes around the concrete areas, so they can walk on it with skates and stuff like that, and doesn't ruin the blades. And then we jump into fire department. The present fleet for ambulances is a 2017 ambulance and a 2003. And so the estimate to replace an ambulance next year will be in the 300,000 range, and that will replace the 2003 ambulance and continue on with the best equipment for the ambulance service in the community. That's $75,000 is the second year of the improvements to both the training room and other and the offices. Year two sees a new vehicle for water wastewater at the 75,000 and the 200,000 in for water distribution infrastructure. Year two, capital expenditures are significantly lower than year one. What predominantly happens is when you look at this next year, this year will be a lot greater because there will be projects that are identified, will come forward. Just a lot of things that happen year to year. So just take this as a guide at this point. So the 1 million is covered through CPI, gas tax, and the Arctic Energy funding. And as you see at the bottom, we're building up our reserves in both gas tax and CPI. And, that's kind of a double-edged sword. It's always good to save for a rainy day, but these are funds that you're not utilizing to invest in capital in those years. So it's kind of a trade-off. We did experience in 2024 a cash flow issue because we didn't have enough money in the kitty for those things. So we're beyond that now, but it's good going forward. 2027. A mower type of unit, which we discussed a bit. This may in fact come off of the budget at some point down the road because it may be something that is incorporated in some of what, or no, I'm sorry, one of the fire projects come off the budget because this is incorporating what their need was as far as, and I'm not entirely familiar with what a self-contained mower is and how it works.
Is that a tractor?
No, so basically it's an attachment for the front of the loader that has a large arm and a brush hog on it. What they really need to do is clean up the ditch lines and the perimeter of trees working out onto the right of ways. Primarily Wild Rose, Doe Heights, those type of places, okay? We do have to look at how we're gonna maintain the fire breaks. Last thing you do is wanna see them all grow up and spruce again. So we're gonna have to look at that as a second issue. This machine could be used for that to a degree, not the perfect machine, but it's mainly ditch lines and Wild Rose too. It starts to get under control. The guys are working on it pretty hard last year, but trees should be growing in the ditches, you know what I mean? And we can cut the odd one down, but Wild Rose, we got lucky this year, or last year, this year. Scott threw one of his guys in there, cleaned it up a little bit. But, yeah, that's what that is. So that's a real flex one. There's a whole bunch of different routes we can take there. But it'd be nice to leave that number in for now.
Thank you, Mitch. And next is our third year of pellet boiler conversions, this one being the VIC building. This will probably prove to be our most challenging project because there's no land there. So we'll have to sort of think outside the box when we're doing that one. So, but again, potential cost savings is the motivation behind it all. Again, water distribution infrastructure in year 3, 2028. Not much going on in 2028. 377,000. A track loader Bobcat for public works and the water distribution infrastructure. 2029. See a big number here. There's been talk over the last couple of years about the existing town shop needing to move because of potential LNG development or power plant for electricity. So, but those are in limbo right now in terms of if, when, and where. So, and the other thing about this is the community plan and the land use provisions will dictate where land uses will be in the future. And so there may not be a need to move the town shop because of what ends up council adopting. And, but there's a recognition that's, maybe a bay add-on or something is something to consider down the road. And I don't think it would approach the $1 million, but you never know. Anyway, so that's your 5 years. If you look at the bottom here, doing all the projects we've identified, accounting for all of our funding sources through those 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, we'll have $5,875,000 in our 2 capital reserve funds. So it's just, it's sort of comforting to give that capacity, know that that capacity is there if something crazy comes down the pipe. And if there's an opportunity to lever federal funding where it's a huge, let's say it's like a running water sewer up the hill, might be a $20 million project. You might get 3/4 funding from the feds. So then you've got $5 million in the bank to cover your share. So, these are things that may or may not happen. So, okay. Counselor?
Why there's nothing on the budget for the, it says pool repairs or whatever?
The pool, okay.
Yeah.
So what was anticipated was we applied through ISIP to do insulation in the pool. As we moved through that project and we tendered it, the project became unsustainable financially for us to do. So we're not doing it. And so we've advised the Macleod and territorial government that ISIP funding can go back into the kitty, whether it's available for another unit or what have you. So we're not going to carry forward with that project. Okay. We wanted to, but it became huge number. So it will be, the pool will continue to be seasonal at the same time frame, so.
But there is still owning to do some repairs or stuff there if it's needed, right?
Only what you want.
I want lots. Because I use it.
Yeah, we always allocate repair and maintenance to the building, and so that'll be ongoing. If there's anything huge, we'll take it out of that.
That deferred, yeah, deferred.
Okay, so that's the full note version of our capital plan. So what, there's general consensus around the table. This would come forward Monday night at our regular meeting for adoption through resolution. And this would form our plan going forward. So your resolution would be to adopt a 5-year capital plan. And if you look on your summary page, it would be $5,969,000.
How much? In
Right.
5 years?
$5,969,064. And that is the process of working up the capital plan and discussing with council in the draft. And then once it's adopted, there'll be a resolution, MAC will be advised, and there'll be contribution agreements that are part of all of this next year that you'll be with. Okay, any questions?
If, there's an expenditure that's been figured out here and we go over that, how is that adjusted?
There's a couple of ways to
Give or
treat
take.
those, is to bring an information back to council that says, you know, we've gone over on this, but we're thinking we're gonna stay under on this one, and we may retool the numbers,
So we can do that.
don't change the totals. You know, it's an avenue to look at. Other times, we just amended it and brought a new one, you get an updated draft, resolution. Either of those scenarios works, and it's within guidelines that keep us okay with MACA, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll leave this part of the agenda, and we will have this brought forward in the resolution. Just on that matter, if you, our next meeting is next Monday night, the 18th. I'd like to know if council would be available the following Monday, the 25th, to do another town meeting to discuss the draft operating budget. And again, the numbers are being worked up now. There's some analysis being done with some things in terms of the unpopular part of maybe looking at an increase to some of the rates. But we'll go down that in more detail as we talk about it. On that meeting, probably prior to getting into the discussion, our auditor, Robert Madronic, will be joining us by Teams to discuss the 2023 final results with this council. I know there's some questions on the deficit that's being reported, and I think he has some pertinent information that is important to share with council, so.
That's good.
Okay, so that's that. And next Monday's meeting has one delegation, and that is Open Sky, but that'll be in your packages going again. And then the first meeting in December has 2 delegations, one being representatives who were responsible to define the flood mapping delineation through the territory. So they'll be here to discuss that, as well as MACA will be doing a funding presentation on the funding sources. So it's all about the policies they're putting in place for funding. So those will be before we get into any business. The other thing is, it depends on business, normally the 3rd meeting in December, which would be the 2nd, 16th. That traditionally has not been held as we're getting close to Christmas, so we haven't scheduled anything. I don't even believe it's on the meeting schedule for 2024, But if there's a requirement or any of you want to get together and have a meeting, we'll just call it, so, just so you're aware. Okay, that ends our 7A. 7B.
Committees.
I'll speak to that later. You've all had a little piece of paper where you've identified your committee preferences. So I have them all now, so I will be compiling that in the morning. I'll be dragging the mayor in to take a look at them, and if he has any wish to amend them, he has that ability to do so, and then again, on Monday night, we'll have the resolution to adopt the subcommittee structure. I would like to get the subcommittee, particularly the HR committee, together before Christmas, early in December, to discuss our work plan going forward with respect to succession planning when I leave and some other things as well. So, okay. So I have committees. Item C, a letter from Marty Lees with respect to her desire to be considered for appointment to DEA. And I'll pass that on to you, your worship, for how you think council may wish to proceed.
Okay, so what I was thinking was we would ask the council if anybody wants to be on the committee with the DEA.
I'll go on the committee. For DEA.
Okay, you have no kids, so,
No, I don't have a child. Well, I do have a child, but she's moved.
yeah, not here.
You don't have to have
No,
kids.
no, I totally understand that, but I was hoping somebody with a kid would,
Well, we've already got one lady here that's.
And I'm the
Yeah.
chair,
yeah, she's,
but,
oh, you're the chair?
but I want to say, I just want to talk about James a little bit, because I know he doesn't have kids here. But like, I was a big part of that process when his child was here, and how the school system failed Amelia Rose.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've seen Christine and James struggle through that process. And so even though Amelia Rose isn't here, I think that his information that he could bring forward is pretty valuable.
Okay,
That's just
that's
a
great.
reason.
Then we'll vote on that on Monday.
Yeah, if that's the consensus, then we'll bring again a resolution appointing James to the council's appointment to the DGA. And move that forward from there. Okay. So that is all the business that we have to discuss that is in the public forum. And so we'll move to in camera. Again, we're in a cow, there's no motions to go, but we'll turn off the camera. And we'll talk about some of these things in a little more detail.